There is a fundamental truth that too many men ignore. Your worth is not determined by another person's validation. You are not an accessory, a backup plan, or an option to be picked up and put down at someone else's convenience. And yet, so many men tolerate disrespect, chase after those who do not appreciate them, and remain in situations that diminish their value. The answer is not bitterness, nor is it revenge. The answer is to become a man whose absence is felt so profoundly that losing him is nothing short of a tragedy. Regret is not born from words, but from undeniable transformation. If you want to become the man she regrets losing, you must first understand that true value is never proven through pleading or persuasion. It is demonstrated through undeniable growth. Too many men believe they can make someone regret losing them by playing mind games, by seeking revenge, or by attempting to make her jealous. But these are the tactics of the weak. A man who truly understands his worth does not engage in such trivialities. He simply becomes so great, so untouchable, so irreplaceable, that the pain of losing him is inevitable. He builds himself from the ground up. If you were complacent, if you lacked ambition, if you allowed yourself to stagnate in any way, she will not regret losing you, she will justify leaving. A man who constantly evolves, who refuses to remain the same, who builds his mind, body, and purpose to a level beyond what she ever imagined, that is the man she will think about long after he is gone. When she hears about your success, when she sees how far you have come, when she realizes that you have become everything she ever wanted in someone else's arms, that is when the regret begins. He operates from a place of complete self-sufficiency. Women do not regret losing men who depended on them emotionally, financially, or mentally. They regret losing men who had full control over their own lives. A man who does not need validation, who does not chase, who does not beg, this is the man who becomes an enigma, a figure of mystery and strength. He does not crumble after rejection, he rises. He does not become bitter, he becomes better. And when she realizes that his strength did not come from her presence, but was always within him, she understands too late that she was never his foundation. She was merely a chapter in his story. He refines his physical presence. A man who carries himself with power, with discipline, with an aura of undeniable confidence is a man who is remembered. Physical fitness is not just about aesthetics. It is about command. It is about walking into a room and being noticed, about exuding strength, about showing that you are a man who takes care of himself. If you let yourself go, if you allowed laziness to creep in, then becoming the man she regrets losing means rebuilding yourself into someone unrecognizable, someone she would double take at if she saw him again. He cultivates an unshakable mindset. The difference between a man who is forgotten and a man who is missed is mental resilience. If you were emotionally unstable, easily angered, insecure, or reactive, then losing you was a relief, not a regret. But if you develop an ironclad mind, a mind that is calm under pressure, that does not break in adversity, that stands firm no matter what life throws at it, then you become someone rare. And rarity is what breeds regret. When she encounters other men who lack the stability, the discipline, the emotional control that you now possess, she will begin to compare, and comparison always leads to longing. He focuses on success, not on seeking revenge. The weak man thinks revenge is the answer, posting photos with other women, trying to make her jealous, flaunting a fake lifestyle on social media. The strong man understands that true regret comes when she sees that he is genuinely thriving, not pretending. He pours his energy into his career, his passions, his financial independence. He becomes a force in his field, a man of status, a man whose value is recognized by the world, not just by one person. And when she realizes that the man she left behind has become something far greater than she ever imagined, the weight of her decision settles in. He does not make himself available. Men who are always accessible, who linger in the background, who respond to every text, who keep the door open for someone who walked away, are not men who are missed. If you want to become the man she regrets losing, then you must become a man who is no longer within reach. You disappear not to manipulate, but to build. You move forward, not to punish, but to grow. And when she finally reaches out, when she tries to test the waters, she will find that you are no longer the man she once knew. That is where the regret deepens. He elevates his social circle. If you were once surrounded by mediocrity, by people who drained you, by influences that kept you stagnant, then it is time to change. Powerful men surround themselves with powerful people. They build networks of influence. They associate with individuals who push them to grow. When she sees that you are now in circles she could never access, that you have elevated beyond the life she knew you in, she will understand that losing you was not just losing a relationship, it was losing access to a life she will never be part of again. He embraces purpose over pleasure. A man who is guided by momentary gratification is forgettable. A man who is guided by an unshakable sense of purpose is unforgettable. If you were distracted, directionless, or lacking ambition, then losing you was easy. But if you align yourself with a mission greater than yourself, if you wake up every day driven by something meaningful, if you channel all your energy into a purpose that makes you unstoppable, then you become the man she regrets losing, not because she lost you, but because she realizes she never even truly knew you. He never looks back. The greatest regret is not caused by words, by explanations, or by proving a point. It is caused by absence. If you allow her to return at her convenience, if you entertain the idea of picking up where things left off, if you allow her to think she still has access to you, then regret will never settle in. But if you move forward so decisively, so unapologetically, so relentlessly that she understands there is no way back, then the weight of her decision will hit her with full force. Because nothing is more painful than realizing that what was once taken for granted is now gone forever. He becomes a standard she will never find again. Women do not regret losing ordinary men. They regret losing extraordinary ones. The man who constantly improves, who holds himself to high standards, who commands respect, who is admired by others, that is the man she will compare every future relationship to. And when she realizes that no one else matches the presence, the strength, the ambition, the unshakable confidence that you now embody, regret becomes inevitable. Because nothing haunts a person more than the realization that they once had something great and let it slip away. There is a profound power in a man who knows when to walk away and does so without hesitation. Too many men linger where they are not valued, where their worth is questioned, and where they are treated as an option rather than a priority. They argue, they plead, they try to explain why they deserve respect. But a man who truly understands his value does not argue for it. He simply removes himself from situations that do not align with his self-respect. When you walk away with absolute certainty, you send the clearest message possible. You are not someone who waits for validation, nor do you stay where you are not appreciated. Certainty is what makes the difference between a man who is forgotten and a man who is missed. Indecision, hesitation, and second-guessing are signs of weakness. When you walk away, you must do so with a firm conviction that there is no need for further discussion, no need for closure, no need for anything more than your own self-assurance. The moment you waver, you give power away. The moment you look back, you undermine the very decision that should be setting you free. A man who walks away with certainty is a man who is in control, and control is what commands respect. Weak men walk away with resentment. Strong men walk away with discipline. There is no need for anger, for dramatics, or for proving a point. The most powerful exit is the one that is executed with complete composure. You do not beg, you do not argue, you do not try to make them see what they are losing, you simply leave. And in that departure, the weight of your absence is felt more than any words could ever express, because silence is a language that cannot be misinterpreted. It speaks directly to the soul. To walk away with certainty is to understand that you do not lose people who truly value you. If someone cannot appreciate your presence, if they take you for granted, if they believe that you will always be there regardless of how they treat you, then the greatest lesson you can teach them is your absence. You do not stay in a place that demands you shrink yourself to fit in. You do not lower your standards for the sake of temporary comfort. You do not entertain those who see you as replaceable. You walk away because you know that someone who fails to recognize your worth will one day regret it. This kind of certainty is not built overnight. It comes from deep self-respect. A man who knows his worth does not tolerate disrespect, manipulation, or inconsistency. He does not engage in endless debates about why he deserves better. He does not waste energy trying to change someone's mind. He does not look for external validation to justify his decisions. He simply knows within himself that he deserves more and that staying in a place that does not align with his values is a betrayal of his own standards. And so he walks away, not to punish anyone, but to honor himself. Walking away with absolute certainty creates a ripple effect that cannot be ignored. The moment you remove yourself from a situation with confidence, you shift the dynamic. People expect you to hesitate, to reconsider, to come back. When you do not, they are forced to confront the reality of your absence. They begin to question their own choices. They begin to wonder if they made a mistake. And in that space, regret begins to take root. Because nothing is more haunting than realizing that someone you thought would always be there is truly gone. You do not explain your decision. You do not offer long-winded justifications. You do not try to make them understand. The moment you start explaining why you are walking away, you are inviting negotiation. But your value is not up for negotiation. Your standards are not up for debate. Your boundaries are not optional. And so you leave with no desire to convince, no need to be understood, no interest in proving anything. You simply disappear, and in that disappearance, your worth becomes undeniable. Walking away with certainty means closing the door completely. There is no lingering in the background, no waiting for them to realize what they lost, no hoping they will change. You remove yourself entirely. You shift your focus back to yourself. You channel all your energy into your own growth, your own success, your own evolution. And in doing so, you become something they can never reach again, a man who does not look back, a man who is elevated beyond their reach, a man who is no longer available to be taken for granted. It is not about revenge, nor is it about playing games. Walking away is not a strategy to manipulate or to gain power over someone else. It is simply the act of reclaiming your own power. It is choosing yourself over a situation that no longer serves you. It is understanding that your time, your energy, and your presence are valuable, and that wasting them on someone who does not recognize this is the greatest act of self-betrayal. You walk away not to hurt them, but to protect yourself from further harm. A man who walks away with certainty never returns to a situation that disrespected him. The moment you leave, you must understand that going back is not an option. Because the second you do, you undo everything you stood for. You teach them that your boundaries were not real, that your departure was not final, that they can mistreat you and still have access to you. And once you set that precedent, you will never be taken seriously again. Walking away means walking forward, never looking over your shoulder, never entertaining what once diminished you. The beauty of walking away with certainty is that it forces you to grow. When you remove yourself from a situation that was not serving you, you open space for something better. You are no longer tied to what was holding you back. You regain your focus, your clarity, your purpose. You redirect all that emotional energy toward building a life so fulfilling that you never once questioned whether leaving was the right choice. And in doing so, you transform yourself into someone so strong, so self-assured, so complete that anyone who once underestimated you can only watch from a distance, realizing too late that they lost someone irreplaceable. The ultimate lesson in walking away with certainty is that it is an act of self-mastery. It is the ability to detach from what no longer aligns with your highest self. It is the discipline to prioritize your own well-being over temporary emotions. It is the confidence to know that what lies ahead is far greater than what you left behind. It is the quiet understanding that the most powerful men are not those who chase, who plead, who wait. They are the ones who walk away and never return. Walking away with absolute certainty is one of the most powerful decisions a man can make. It is the ultimate display of self-respect, self-control, and inner strength. Too many people hesitate, looking back, wondering if they made the right choice, second-guessing their worth, hoping that things will change. But certainty is what sets the strong apart from the weak. When you walk away with certainty, you communicate a truth that cannot be ignored. You are not someone who lingers in places where you are not valued. A man who walks away with certainty understands that his worth is not up for debate. He does not stay in situations that diminish him, that chip away at his dignity, that force him to compromise his values. He does not beg for love, attention, or respect. He does not entertain people who make him feel like an option. He does not plead for someone to recognize what he brings to the table. He simply leaves, knowing that his presence is not a privilege to be taken lightly. There is an undeniable power in leaving without hesitation, without explanation, without seeking validation. The moment you start explaining why you are walking away, you invite negotiation. You give someone the opportunity to convince you to stay, to make excuses, to manipulate your emotions. But when you walk away with certainty, with an unshakable sense of self, you make it clear that you are not waiting for permission to value yourself. You are not asking for anyone's approval to move forward. You are not interested in being convinced to stay in a situation that no longer serves you. People expect hesitation. They expect you to waver, to look back, to keep the door open just a little. They assume that given enough time you will return, that you will miss them, that you will doubt yourself. And that is precisely why walking away with certainty is so impactful. When they see that you are truly gone, that you have removed yourself completely, that there is no back and forth, no lingering attachment, no hesitation, it forces them to confront the reality of their choices. It forces them to sit with the absence they created. A man who walks away with certainty does not make grand announcements, does not engage in emotional theatrics, does not try to prove a point. He simply disappears. He removes himself from the situation, from the conversations, from the dynamic entirely, and in doing so, he creates an undeniable contrast between who he was before and who he is now. He was once accessible, available, willing to give chances, willing to fight for something that was not fighting for him. But now he is unreachable, untouchable, uninterested in anything that does not align with his standards. Walking away with certainty is not about playing games, nor is it about manipulating emotions. It is about recognizing when something is no longer worthy of your time and energy. It is about understanding that respect cannot be demanded, it must be earned. If you find yourself in a position where you must beg for basic decency, where you must remind someone to appreciate you, where you must repeatedly justify your worth, then you are in the wrong place. And the only response to such a situation is to leave, not with bitterness, but with an unshakable certainty that you deserve better. When you walk away with certainty, you shift the entire balance of power. The one who stays behind, expecting you to return, suddenly realizes that they miscalculated. They assumed you would always be there. They assumed they had time to change their behavior. They assumed they could continue treating you in the same way without consequences. But when you remove yourself completely, without hesitation, without second guessing, they are forced to confront the emptiness left in your absence. They are forced to recognize that they took something for granted that they will never have access to again. A man who walks away with certainty does not check back in. He does not wonder how the other person is feeling. He does not leave the door open just in case. He does not wait for an apology or an explanation. He moves forward with complete clarity, knowing that his decision was final. He understands that the most powerful statement he can make is not a long speech, not an emotional farewell, not an attempt to be understood. It is simply his absence. An absence, when truly final, is far louder than any words ever could be. Walking away with certainty means refusing to entertain anything that does not align with your highest self. It means rejecting relationships, situations, and dynamics that demand you lower your standards, compromise your values, or betray your self-respect. It means having the discipline to choose solitude over mediocrity, self-respect over temporary comfort, and growth over stagnation. It means being so deeply committed to your own well-being that you will never tolerate anything less than what you deserve. The strength to walk away with certainty does not come from arrogance or pride. It comes from self-awareness. It comes from knowing exactly what you bring to the table, from understanding your value, from refusing to settle for anything less than mutual effort and respect. It comes from the realization that your energy, your time, your presence are not things to be wasted on people who do not appreciate them. And when you reach that level of understanding, walking away is not difficult, it is necessary. The most important part of walking away with certainty is what happens after you leave. You do not look back, you do not second guess, you do not wait for someone to change. You focus entirely on yourself, on your growth, on your evolution. You pour all the energy that was once wasted on seeking validation into building the best version of yourself. And in doing so, you create a reality so fulfilling, so strong, so untouchable, that anyone who once underestimated you has no choice but to watch from a distance, realizing too late that you were never someone to be taken lightly. Walking away with absolute certainty is not just about removing yourself from a situation. It is about transforming into someone so confident, so self-assured, so complete that you never find yourself in that situation again. It is about becoming the kind of person who never needs to beg for respect, who never entertains anything beneath their standards, who never allows themselves to be undervalued. It is about understanding that true power does not come from forcing someone to see your worth, it comes from seeing it yourself, and never settling for less again. Silence is a force more powerful than most people realize. In a world where everyone is eager to talk, to explain, to justify, to defend, silence stands out. It disrupts the expected pattern of communication, forcing the other person to confront their own thoughts, their own emotions, their own mistakes. Silence is not weakness, it is control. It is the ability to withhold your words, to resist the urge to over-explain, to let the weight of your absence be felt without pleading for acknowledgement. People expect noise. They expect arguments, they expect responses, they expect engagement. When you deny them that, when you refuse to react, when you hold your ground without saying a word, you take away their power. Silence creates uncertainty. It forces others to fill in the gaps, to wonder what you are thinking, to question whether they miscalculated. It makes them uneasy because silence demands introspection, and introspection can be uncomfortable. There is a reason why the most powerful individuals do not waste words. They do not speak just to be heard. They do not explain themselves unnecessarily. They do not engage in petty conflicts or useless debates. Instead, they let their silence do the work. They walk away from arguments they do not need to win. They do not defend themselves against baseless accusations. They do not beg for understanding, and in doing so, they command more respect than those who shout the loudest. Silence is the ultimate response to disrespect. It is the refusal to lower yourself to the level of those who provoke you. It is the understanding that not every insult requires a rebuttal, not every challenge deserves an answer. When you remain silent in the face of provocation, you strip the other person of the reaction they were hoping to get. You show them that their words have no power over you, that their attempts to manipulate, to hurt, to control have failed. When relationships become strained, when conflicts arise, when words become weapons, silence can be the most devastating response. It forces the other person to sit with the consequences of their actions. It denies them the comfort of knowing where they stand. It creates a void that only they can fill, and in that void they begin to question, to regret, to wish they had chosen differently. Silence is not passive. It is an active choice to disengage from what no longer serves you.